All right, coming up next, Dave Stroud. He said I could say anything about him I wanted. Didn't even have to be true. He likes to build things. He likes to teach kids. He's going to drop some science. You're supposed to tackle me.
I'm supposed to tackle
Yeah, follow the instructions.
Hey, I'm Dave Stroud, and, although I prepared some notes, because instead of practicing, what I did is I drank bourbon and played the drums, so I figure I'll just keep it up tonight. I work in a thing called the Try It Lab out at Thanksgiving Point, and it's really hard for me to stay in one spot. What we did, they asked me at Thanksgiving Point, what would you do if you could do anything? I said, I would like to work on an exhibit gallery floor where I can see the guests all the time, and they can see me. So we built this clear wall, and we work behind it. Some of the people I work with are here tonight. The most important thing about me is that everything we do is, why do science? If everybody looks at that, you might see, some people probably see something wrong with that. A lot of people probably don't see something wrong with that. What happens is, when we read things, our brain, it's called expectations, and the human brain, once it draws a wrong conclusion, it's really hard to dislodge it. So if you can't see what's wrong with that, that's kind of why science is important. How many thes do you see in that sentence? So this one, here's another example of how our brains can deceive us. Does that look like it's moving to anybody? Yeah, except that's exactly one image that is not moving. Again, our perceptions can be fooled, so science is a great method for evaluating things, and I think it's important for kids to know about it. So for a lot of people, when they see my lab, which is that wall back there with the clear windows, it's kind of like a big pair of safety glasses for visitors to look in at us while we do our work. But when anything that we're doing, they can see us, and you can see those people in the back peeking in while we're building our sequin wall. Anything we do, paying the bills, having a meeting, whatever, people are watching us do that work. And it's pretty cool. But I have a different perspective. I don't see it as a place for people to look in at me. I see something totally different in the Try It Lab. The Try It Lab, to me, is a place for us to watch visitors. That is to say that the visitors, when they come and do things, it's important to us to see how they interact with stuff. And it's actually hard for me to stay here. I like to move when I talk. But when you watch, I watch people play with that exhibit you see there, and it turned out that people used it a different way. A lot of the time, I feel like Dr. Jane Goodall. Yeah, because we're living in the jungle with our subjects, and so we know a lot about them, a lot of things that other people don't know, because we see them every single day. Kids come and they play, and instead of saying, hey, let me beat you up with science facts, like what does light do, or how does a magnet work, or what's electricity, we let kids interact with stuff. They come, they play with light, they put things, they play with balls, they throw balls, they put balls on the floor, people fall on stuff. It's fantastic because they're actually making that connection. And I think that, a lot of times in school, people are not making that same kind of a connection because they don't get to manipulate things. They don't get to ride things. They don't get to, just kind of really, really play. Because when they play, they make a connection. And the connection is the important part, not so much like, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So what we do, though, a lot of the time is, we have this kind of we start off with a small idea kind of over here at the left-hand side, and we diverge, we get really broad, come up with as many ideas as we can, and then we kind of converge and attack an idea at the end. One of the ways we do that is we have brainstorming sessions. Our brainstorming sessions, we have really specific rules. My favorite is encourage wild ideas, where somebody might say, hey, let's make a 50-foot shopping cart and put it in the lab. Well, then we draw pictures of what those things might look like. A lot of people around us say, well, hey, Dave, that's kind of like this lumpy way of doing things. I like a straight line. Well, if you start to kind of back away and you do that over and over and over, it starts to kind of look like a line. So, I don't know. That's the way I see it. We also have a motto around the lab. It's called fail early to succeed sooner, which means that a lot of shit's going to go wrong. But that's okay, because you're really going to learn from it. So that's one of my favorite sayings. My second favorite saying is something that was given to me by my grandfather, which is never wear your wishbone where your backbone ought to be. Because anything that's worth doing is going to take a lot of work, and you're going to have to do it. So there is no one else, really, and that's kind of how it goes. So, I don't think that the purpose of science is really to, learn a bunch of facts. Ooh, let me memorize all those facts. Yeah. It's more about thinking, critical thinking, analytical thinking. How do you think about, again, making that connection. And here you can see a little girl who's making a connection. She's playing with air. And that, to me, that picture right there shows, that connection. You know that she's actually learned something right there.